So you're not willing to say that there's a portal monopoly if you're saying that there's great traffic. I guess what you're saying is you're competitive.
If you're not getting educated about local and national real estate market conditions, news, industry trends, industry issues, all of the above, you're doing yourself and your client base a disservice. This is the Knowledge Brokers Podcast. I'm Tom Toole here with Lisa Chinatti and Byron Lazine. But who cares about us? We've got the CEO of RE/MAX International, Erik Carlson. Erik, thank you for coming on. Very excited to have you on the pod here.
I'm excited to be here, and thank you for having me and sharing a few minutes.
It's going to be more than a few minutes. We got a lot of questions here. So before
I've listened. It's going to go fast, Tom. So that's why it's going to feel like a few minutes for this audience. It's going to be wham.
Time flies when you're having fun. Erik, you and I have met. We spent time at a dinner together. Tom being the RE/MAX guy here on our panel. This is his first introduction to you. So maybe just to educate everybody, give us like 60 seconds. You're an outside the industry guy coming in and taking over one of the most prominent positions at the brokerage level. Just give us a quick 60-second background of where you were at before real estate.
Sure. So I've been at RE/MAX now almost 20 months. I joined just before Thanksgiving in 2023. And I came from a 28-year career at a place called Dish Network. We had satellite TV that we had launched, holy cow, 1996 now. Created Sling TV, which is an OTT product. So a lot of time in media and pay TV. And then we had a company called Boost Mobile. So I spent a little time in telecom. And really, I get the question a lot about like why and similarities. And when I thought I had left the career as CEO of Dish and I was going to take some time off, but I actually, there's an insider here who got me to meet with Dave Liniger. And when I met Dave Liniger, I was just amazed. And I live in Denver, so I know the story of Dave a bit. I know the story of the golf course and the brand and all the crazy things that Dave has done and the incredible company that he's built. But when I met him, I was just kind of overwhelmed with like enthusiasm. So I thought, what a cool opportunity to take over a worldwide brand, work for a founder like this. I'd worked for, an awesome founder before, and lead a company that I thought, quite frankly, was maybe stable in its in the overall aspect of how it showed up in real estate. And I'm here to try to make a difference. And when I think about the similarities, whether it was satellite TV or running big installation networks or call centers or even helping Boost Mobile entrepreneurs, it's about building a business in a local community through a third party. And so I know that very well. And, that's what Tom's done for many years. And Lisa, you've done it. So I think there's more similarities maybe than more differences. Product, completely different. Just as much chaos maybe with all the rule changes and things that happen in real estate as pay TV with takedowns and, your best friends fighting against each other. So I think it's been a lot of fun. And I'm super excited that I joined. Every day I see more opportunity. So excited to be here with you guys and be talking about what we're doing at RE/MAX. More than 60 seconds.
No, that was a little more, but
we timed it.
Tom's going to jump in here in a second on a RE/MAX specific question, being the RE/MAX guy. Just off of that, I'm curious from your perspective, huge, thanks for bringing us into the background of your career, a lot of experience. What's like the most shocking part of the way real estate works? It's kind of a funky business, and there's there's a mindset of the way things used to be. Like, what was the most surprising to you coming in about how the industry is working today and where it might be changing rapidly into the future?
Yeah, there's probably a handful of things. I think one thing I noticed kind of immediately was it was interesting kind of the lack on the customer focus and the customer experience. And that's not to say that, at a kind of an agent by agent level in a community, they don't do great things, but kind of overall from a, 50,000 foot view, if you're like in the coffee business at Starbucks, or if you're in the pay TV business like I ran, I mean, just the emphasis on the customer and that experience is literally insane.
From the brand perspective you're talking about.
Well, from the brand perspective, and I think just overall from an industry perspective, and so that was one thing. I think the other thing is obviously there's a lot of independent contractors, and so I think that can complicate the business of helping an entrepreneur in a local market. And then look at there is definitely noise in the industry. I came into it right when kind of Remax had just settled. And I think the other thing would be, I do think that we're a little bit behind in technology from other industries, and there's a lot of tech in this industry, and I think that that's probably only going to get worse with the advent of AI. It enables a lot of I'll just say young folks to create startups kind of in a garage, no different than kind of how Apple Computer was created. But the amount of creation and the amount of shiny objects that folks are chasing, whether at the brokerage level or the agent level, I think ultimately confuses things, makes it more complicated, and actually probably helps to not be able to enhance the customer experience because you're always changing kind of your tech and your process. Tom, I'm seeing a head nod there.
That's a really good insight. I mean, you see so many agents, they focus on everything but selling houses and the customer. And Byron talks about this all the time, like who's got the best model, who's got the best this or that. Well, if you have the best process to help consumers, you're going to do pretty well in this business, no matter where you are. So that's a great observation. I have a question for you. I actually talked to a lot of people in my office. My dad's been one of the original broker owners. We've got agents that have been with us 20 plus years. I've been in the network 25, and we saw a lot of churn when it came to real estate last year. There were some reports that indicated about 13% of active agents switched firms. In the first quarter, that number was up 66%, according to the Recruiting Insights report, compared to last year. And Remax has seen a decline with U.S. agents of about 7% annually. So what do you attribute that trend to, and how is Remax addressing that head on to attract more talent?
Yeah, so why don't I take it from like an industry perspective, and then Tom, I'm happy to talk a little bit about my observations on Remax. And I think that, when I think about the industry as a whole, and you see this in other industries, I would say that, based on kind of those COVID years, and look, you guys, have forgotten more about real estate than I will know, right? So let's set that as a baseline. But my observation is, it was very easy to sell a home a few years back, and there was a lot of activity. And I think what that does to sales channels, I experienced this with rapid growth in satellite TV, 20 years ago, right? You turn your salespeople and your sales skills, those folks into order takers. And when it becomes easy and you can see a lot of money, more people come into the business, right? And now the business is harder, right? I mean, we've been at an all-time low, or 3.9 million homes. So I think it's harder to do business, and that's going to force people, one, maybe to leave, two, to try their skills maybe at a different brokerage, because maybe they think they're not getting what they need. Maybe they need to look in the mirror versus at the brokerage. But I do think that brokerages can also, help nurture young agents. And when I say young, I don't mean just age-wise. It could be kind of young in career. And so I think that there's a big appetite to do that. Now at Remax, we have, we had lost, a lot of agents over the past 5, 6, 7 years in the U.S. Now we stabilized that a bit in Q2 of this year, as we announced on our Q3 earnings report. Globally, we're at the highest level we've ever been, just over 147,000. I do think, Tom, and I'm interested if you want to comment on it, but my perception is we had stopped leaning into the business, and we are leaning into the business now to provide support for our great network. We're focused, dead set focused on helping agents win listings and more business, save time doing it and make more money, and bring profitability back to brokerages. And that's what we talked about at BOC last week, which I thought was outstanding. And so when you have a focus like that and you start to innovate and up your pace of play and really think about the consumer, whether that's a buyer or seller, what they need, or an agent needs to be successful within a brokerage, I think we'll turn things around.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go to BOC. My dad did, and he was pretty tuned up and excited when he got back. I know Gary Ashton was there with him as well. We have a Gary Ashton mailbox question Byron's going to talk about here about something in a second. And I do see some of that for sure. I think there's been more programs and more innovation in the past. There's the Aspire program, which I think is going to help team leaders. I know a lot of large teams have left Remax. Chris Lindahl comes to mind as one of them, and started his own brokerage. There was another gentleman in our market that just left. So I think that, and the more you can help people focus on selling houses, the easier it's going to be. And I think that's where a lot of these brokerages, where they get people that are split chasers, like Byron talks about. He's got a whole rant about that. I'll leave to him. Or they look at taking their talent somewhere else. It can be kind of tough. Now, you talked a little bit about recruiting, right? And the recruiting environment. And there's a lot of brokerages that have these different models that are out there, whether it's, a virtual model, tech perks. And I know some of the stuff that's going on, but I'd love you to talk about this. Even rev sharing has been a big thing, where you see some agents focusing more on their downline than actually selling houses. What's Remax doing right now to attract maybe some of these high producing agents to come over from other brokerages, and what's in the works, or what can you share with us?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think first and foremost, Tom, look, we're focused on helping agents sell homes, right? Nobody in the world sells more real estate than Remax. It's in our blood, it's in our DNA, and fundamentally, I think that's what we're here to do. And so, you saw with the Aspire program, for instance, to bring kind of some flexibility to the economics of the Remax network, and really kind of share in some of the financial burden that is on a brokerage when they bring a Remax agent on. Because whether they're brand new to this industry, or they're just transferring from a different brokerage or a different brand, there is a period of time of transition. And I think the Aspire program helps by having the brand share in the financial burden for that, meaning more variable, less fixed. But there's really two other, highly important aspects of the Aspire program, and one is really about education. So we've tied education into our Bold Trail instance with Inside Real Estate to help folks understand, what it is to be a professional agent, and get them the skills in order to be productive within their first year, and help them build a database within their CRM, help them, nurture that database, and teach them how to be a real estate agent, and have the discipline on what it means to sell homes. And so the Aspire program has been, really greeted with a huge warm welcome. We've got over 60% of our brokerages that are using the Aspire program, and we've got thousands of agents on the program, working the program now, and turning into trusted, productive professionals, which is what Remax stands for.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm gonna I'll have Lisa. I'll bring Lisa in on this, because I think, well, all three of us, myself, Lisa, and Tom, are in alignment on we're in alignment on growing our teams and our organizations, and agent count is an important part of that. But identifying the right agent that is going to support, per agent productivity and then obviously profitability for the company. And there's been this, what I would call a trickle down mindset in our industry over decades, stemming primarily from the way NAR operates from a membership perspective, of everything's a numbers game. It just needs to be top line numbers are going to keep the revenue coming in. And that has, to me, trickled down into, the local and state boards, the way they operate, and then brokerages just like blow out as many agents. When you're talking about Aspire, I'm thinking that's more in alignment with how team leaders think, a really well-trained agent who can be highly productive. And so I'll let Lisa comment on that in a second, and then we'll kick it back to you, Erik. I think the other part of that, to where Tom was talking about, with some of the, what are you doing to attract, some of these teams? Like, it seems like in the Remax category, this entrepreneurial productive category of brokerages, there's been more competition from new brokerage models. Now, Tom, I don't think brokerage models make or break anybody's career. If you look at EXP and Real Brokerage, for example, less than 10% of those agents collect revenue share, yet that's the carrot many sign up for. But you've had in what Remax and Keller Williams probably owned as the entrepreneurial space in brokerage, you now have EXP, LPT, Real Brokerage, coming after that, where in maybe the higher end luxury, you really only have a Compass who's, aggressively growing at scale, in that space. And I'm not saying that Remax or EXP or whatever can't be luxury. I'm just kind of, there are two categories there, historically of what they do great. And so maybe agent count isn't, I know quarterly every 90 days, you've got to answer to Wall Street, but maybe agent count isn't the variable. I'll let Lisa chime in on that. I know there's a lot there, and then Erik will let you respond.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. It's never just about the agent count. I think everybody's kind of said it, right? It's the per person productivity. And I guess my question is kind of looking at it. And one of the things that you said early on is that one of your big initiatives was the customer experience. And so I'm kind of curious about whether there's something that Remax is doing to identify maybe the agent as the customer. And besides the Aspire program, how does Remax start to pivot and say, what's the customer as the agent experience? And is that something that is maybe on the roadmap to increase recruiting and retention along the line?
It's a great couple of questions there. One
There's
is,
a lot there.
there's a lot there. So let me try to think through this. So, one is I don't think it's just an agent count game, right? I mean, we are dead set on growing market share. And I think we can do that definitely through more agents, but I think we can also do that by making agents more productive, right? So when I talk about helping agents win listings, do it in less time, and make more money, we're dead set focused on putting more of those great, Tom, you'll appreciate this, red, white, and blue signs in yards and put ourselves in kind of a dominant position, right? In the US, we don't own that. It's a different market. In Canada, we've got close to 27% market share, so it's a different ballgame. But, we have aspirations to be number one in every market in the US, in Canada, and worldwide. So that's kind of our vision, and that's our focus. Today, we do talk a little bit about agent count because that's what Wall Street, measures us on today. But I'll tell you, we're going to get ourselves off agent count, and we'll talk about other things within the next couple of quarters here, because I truly believe it's about having professional, productive agents. Now, Lisa, back to your question a bit. We have been dead set focused on helping agents, as I said, win listings, do it in less time, make more money, and that's by improving our value proposition, right? Helping them nurture their database, helping them get their database, up and running in our Bold Trail instance, helping with marketing as a service, which we just launched at BOC, and it's live in production yesterday, which is about making it very easy for, and one is less expensive, but also better effectiveness on when you have a listing, what do you do with that listing and how do you market it, right? So making it easy to market that property. Our Max Engage program helps folks get loud on social media. We've got over 4,000 folks on that program today. And as you've seen, we are getting louder on social media, probably because we have something to talk about now, but also we are helping agents get loud on social media. And from a teams and a kind of a value prop perspective, we've built these innovation groups. So today we've got a teams innovation group. Tom, we'd love for you to join when you can.
Oh, he should be on there.
I got invited, but they scheduled
He's
it during
on
our weekly radio show, which you wanted me to grow market share. It's
Listen,
the number one real estate radio show in Philadelphia. I can't move it. So
it's awesome. Gary is driving it right now.
Tom should be involved. Jordan Cohen, obviously,
no, they did invite me. It's a scheduling conflict, and all. Josh Bolgren's been doing it. I've known him for like 15 years. So yes, I'm aware.
Exactly. But these innovation groups help us get feedback, right, from our customers, meaning agents, Lisa, and work on what's important from a team perspective, from a brokerage perspective, from a technology perspective. So I really feel like we're listening better than we ever have. Not to say that we don't have a long way to go, not only to agents, but also incorporating consumer feedback, buyer and seller feedback. Our .com instance gets a lot of traffic. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not going to fight with the portals. I don't want to talk about that. I'm not going to say we're number one, we're number five, we're number two, any of that stuff. I'll leave that up to Andy and and the others. But we do get a lot of great traffic, so we have to have consumer insights to know what to do with those potential buyers and sellers and get them to a great team like Tom.
So you're not willing to say that there's a portal monopoly if you're saying that there's great traffic. I guess what you're saying is you're competitive.
We're competitive and we're focused on what we want to accomplish, right?
Right.
And it's not up to me. It's up to a judge and a jury to figure out if there's a monopoly or not.
Putting Remax aside or any brokerage aside, let's just take the brokerage model. Can a brokerage chase both at the same time what Lisa talked about, the agent is my customer, and then the end consumer can, you started the conversation, which I agree with you, or, I guess I interpreted it that brands have done, brokerage brands have done a really poor job of talking about that end customer, the buyer, the seller, the investor, which, Zillow, for example, has done a really good job letting the customer guide their decisions. But can a brokerage chase both at the same time? Agent is my customer, and then that end buyer, seller customer. And is there another industry example where, CEOs have this kind of, back and forth between the two? A lot of times it's one clear customer. They don't have two. Is there an industry example that you would point to where they're chasing, two at the same time, like real estate?
I think there's a lot of industries that have multiple layers to channels, right? And so, it happens to be independent contractors here, which is fine. It's a wonderful place to be. But I do think, when you think about a brokerage, and you think about an agent, and then you think about those buyers and sellers, one of the things that we're trying to help our brokerages do with their agents is nurture those customers beyond just close, right? So I think a lot about customer for life. I was surprised to see the stat, and I don't, it's not off the top of my head, but it's something like above 90 people, 90% of folks would say, certainly I'll work with my agent, right? But it's like sub 10% that actually do the next time. Now, part of that is, the period of time that goes by. I get that. It's a longer sales cycle. It's not like buying soap or going to a restaurant or those types of things. But I do think we have a lot of long tenured agents in our industry. So why do those customers choose to go with a different agent? One of the things that we are helping our network with is our HomeView app, right? So not only does that help an agent within the transaction communicate with a customer, but post-close, they can stay in contact with that customer in an easier way. So again, about winning that next deal or that referral and helping to nurture that customer post-close. It's really a big focus. And so I don't think, Byron, it needs to be an or an either. I think it's an and. And so I think you can focus on more than just one customer. But you have to first admit that you have more than one customer. And then you have to nurture all those folks. So we like buyers and sellers. We like helping agents get buyers and sellers. And we love our brokerages because of the outstanding work they do in supporting agents and working with buyers and sellers in local markets.
Very Gary V of you. It's an and, not an or.
Hey, and is a powerful world. I mean, it's better than saying like but, for example. I mean, you change that out, you're in good shape. I got another question for you, Erik, about the leadership at RE/MAX, because you mentioned Dave Lininger at the top, and I mean, he is an iconic figure in real estate. I don't think there's any question. And over the past couple of years, there's been some turnover at the leadership where I think, have this dominant founder, which Dave is. I mean, it sounds like he's the reason why you came aboard, which I love, because usually people come to companies because of the leader. But you've had some turnover. There's been Adam Contos, Nick Bailey, Amy Lessinger have all been, kind of handed the baton for short periods of time. And for one reason or another, the folks moved on from them. And I give you credit because Amy wouldn't even come on our podcast, but you did. So thank you. She said no. And so I thank you for that.
She said she'd come on now, Tom.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's probably got a lot of free time on her hands. I don't know, but never met her. But so how do you see yourself working with Dave to build that legacy while also adapting to today's market? You talked about your experience at Dish, and I think a lot of people forget how innovative Dish was when they had NFL Sunday Ticket. It was a big deal where you get all the NFL games. I thought that was a really cool thing for a lot of folks.
Well, Tom, just that was DirecTV.
I was going to say that was DirecTV.
I fucked that up, so there we go. Why don't we just edit that out, Bobby?
But here's what we did. We provided better value and a better experience, right? So it was, we were up there with the DVR. We were up there with a lot of great tools. Skip your commercials with the Hopper. I'm not trying to do a commercial for Dish, but yes, we were a very innovative company in trying to push the envelope. Here, we are trying to do the same thing. We are getting back to innovation. We're trying to be first to market on some things, second to market on others. Apple does a great job of being second to market on others. But I think from a leadership perspective, I'd rather talk about the folks we brought on board and the great things that we're doing. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get the right, figure out what seats on the bus I needed and get the right people on that bus, right? So for me, it always starts with people, process, and technology and product, right? So you get the right people, you put the right processes in place, and then you can scale those. So a little nail it and scale it. And so as you can see, like the 4 folks probably, or the 5 folks that I've recently hired, I brought in a Travis Saxton to help with strategy, right? I don't have a real estate background, so I have to surround myself with some people that do and use the best skills that I have and mirror those with other skills. Travis has got a lot of great relationships. He's done a lot of great things in the industry with tech and marketing. And so I hired Travis. I got Chris Lim to join. So I
Great
wanted
golfer,
more.
by the way. Travis is a great golfer.
Thank you. He is. I heard that he beat you in a round of golf, Byron.
Oh,
He beats a lot of people in a round of golf.
It's a lot of trash talk.
He didn't play that well, though. Yeah, he did still beat me.
no, listen? He didn't play that well, but he still beat me.
Yeah,
Jeez.
That's exactly what that is. I missed a couple putts. Otherwise, I would have had him, type of thing. But look, I brought on some operators, and look, I think the customer experience, meaning agent and consumer are important. So I wanted to dip into luxury. So I've got Chris Lim, Klein Brokerage. He built and then sold to Anywhere. Ran a couple brands there. Don Kodak up in Canada, who is was leading the Sotheby's group. Daniel Dennis, who was leading Illustrated. All operators in the luxury space. And so those are kind of the last 4 hires we've made. And they're helping to reshape how we go to market, our value proposition, how we engage with service and support and sales, not only for agents, but consumers. And so I think we've got, along with like a Josh Bolgren, Tom, that you talked about, or an Abby Lee. I mean, you want some folks with obviously some experience with Remax and the brand, but like they do outstanding work also. So we're putting together a little bit of a dream team here.
I mean, Lisa, that sounds kind of like EOS. I mean, right person, right seat. That really perked my ears up, Erik. So that's something the 3 of us have been very big on in building our companies and our teams. So I'll let you go ahead, Byron, but I wanted to point that out for all the listeners.
I'm hearing a very consistent theme here throughout the conversation, where it sounds like to me, Remax has made the decision to lean into, that service side, how to help agents acquire more customers, how to be better trained. Really, I mean, it sounds like I'm talking to a team leader versus somebody who's like, I've got the most innovative model of all time, and I've figured out how to cut, a dollar bill 100 different ways. There's only 100 ways you can cut a dollar bill at max, right? And so you're talking more, which I think Remax historically was kind of built on this innovative model, but you're kind of shifting the other direction. And I'll go to the brand side of it here, which, the Remax brand's been around for decades. Gary Ashton, who's the #1 team leader in the world, as Gary would say. I hope I got that right, Gary. So he texted in a little mailbox question for you, Erik. He's talking about the rebrand. The rebrand was a big one, which initially was met with a lot of mixed reviews, mainly the balloon, which is beautifully positioned behind your right shoulder.
That's right.
But that seems to be swinging the other way now, and people seem to appreciate and like the change. But that's such an iconic piece. How long did the process take to get it to a point where you felt good about presenting it to the public?
Great question. And I did happen to sample your February 28th podcast, so I heard some of the dialogue on that sucker after RR4. But
Tom was more emotional about it than me. I got no dog in that.
I just want some signs. I mean, the sign budget for a team that's handling as many like that, that's the worst part.
And you couldn't even show up to BOC. Talk to your dad. He got a deal.
You know
He's
what?
got a sign deal right now.
I'm paying all the sign bills, Erik. I mean, that was my BOC budget, went to signage. We take too many listings.
Yeah. Hey, we had some nice perks for you there. Next year, I hope to see you. Okay.
Now that I got the personal invite.
That's your personal invite. That's right.
All right.
But look at the great thing about Remax and what our team has set up is like we do a lot of research. And so when we started talking about our value prop early on, obviously, the brand was one of the things that we spoke about. It's not, a lot of consumers today start their real estate journey online. I think it's something about above like 95%. And then once they find, an agent, they're going to research that agent 7 out of 10 times on what their social profile looks like. And so even though our brand was kind of still top of all real estate brands and awareness, modernness, all the things kind of you look for from attracting not only agents, but really buyers and sellers. We thought we could show up online in a more modern way to help with that new journey. And so, we started probably somewhere in the middle of last year. We did a lot of testing. We worked with our great agency, Camp & King, who have been with the Remax family for quite some time. Abby and I spent a lot of time with that group talking about, what we thought the brand could look like. But really, the consumer told us, and the great thing about it, even though we were already top, we actually exceeded it. So our new brand shows up better than the previous version. And I think the other important thing for us was, a brand can mean a lot of things, but it's the agent that's working with that buyer or seller that does really the hard work, and allowing them to put themselves in the middle of the brand, because they're the lifeblood of what Remax stands for, and the DNA was important. And we, I don't want to call it luck, but we happened to figure out how to remove the slash and allow an agent to put their face, a property, a flag, whatever it is, inside the brand, which was just simply terrific. And so there was, I think change is hard sometimes. And so when we announced it at R4, obviously there was some folks that said, oh my gosh, I got to buy a new sign. But we went out and said, hey, it's a digital first, type of an approach. Obviously the new sign, Tom, will perform better than the old sign. The old sign will perform better than other signs. But it's an evolution. And so we're really happy. We were just at BOC. I mean, there's so many folks that have taken the brand and really run with it and created great things. It's super exciting to see. So we are very satisfied with the change.
Well, congratulations. It's not easy to come in and take such an iconic brand and be, a leader who's going to change it so dramatically. There's been iterations over the years, but then stay true to, kind of the core there. And it's growing on me. I don't think it's growing on Tom, but it's growing on me, Erik. So
we're already using it. They changed the brand. You know what happens with these things, Byron? You got two options. You can complain about it like Erik's talking about, or you can just go out and do your thing and sell a whole bunch of houses, and it's going to figure itself out. So
yeah, he's talking about you doing that.
The only complaining was on the podcast he indexed on August 20 or whatever that was. So that was about the extent of the complaining. So that was.
I like the balloon right now, the way that it's presented, and maybe it's just that we're all getting used to it. But I think it's a good look.
It looks fantastic right there.
I got a tattoo of it on my right arm. I'm that excited about it. So I'll show you guys next time I see you.
Who's the agent that's got the tattoo of the balloon on his thigh and then went to Real or EXP or so? He went to Real, I think. Bob Tompkins, right? Put the picture of his Remax tattoo.
Horrible decision.
Oh my God. Well, you gotta stay for life at that point. You get the tat. All right, where are we going?
Easy
next?
recruit, Erik.
All right. So how about, I think one of the other ones was looking at, I'd love your take on Gary Keller published his predictions for the market, and it might be through 2026 that we're looking at kind of being in this slow cycle. So I'd love your takes, being in it as deep as you're in it now. What do you think? Do you think we have to live through 2026 still, or?
Here's the quote. Here's the bottom line, and that is: shift happens, they just do. And for us, it always starts with get real, get right. It goes on to say that this recession, real estate, not an economic recession, but the real estate recession we've been in for 3 years, could exist till the end of 26. What's your feel for the real estate market right now, Erik?
From a prediction perspective, I'll let Gary make those predictions and maybe Logan and a couple others. Quite honestly, for me, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, I think 6 million, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier, Tom, right? 4 million, we've got to be focused on how we can help folks kind of win listings and win business. So when you're focused on doing the right thing for agents, we will increase productivity, we'll win more business, and we'll bring profitability back to brokerages. And so we have to be able to compete and succeed almost in any market, right? And the muscle you build in a 4 million market should translate a lot better in a 6 million market. So we're trying to do the hard work right now to put ourselves in a position to win at larger scale when that scale comes.
I love that. We had been saying survive till 25. That didn't get us very far.
Well, we're still surviving, right? I mean,
It got me
we're
far,
still-
Lisa. I'm very happy with 25.
Well,
Lisa,
no,
you've got to be more positive. Like it can't be a negative. Like
no.
just survive. It's like holy cow, we're drive in 25.
No.
Right?
I get you. This was like what we were saying in 24. It was survive until 25, thinking that the market
It was actually, I think,
pick back up
23
this
is when
year.
we said that.
23. We're like, you got to
Okay,
make it
yeah.
through. Listen, we've been through the big recovery years, which a lot of agents don't remember, the 2011s and 12s and those types of years. So just like looking at the economy overall, Erik, because listen, you've been an executive longer than any of us, and so when you're factoring in these economic conditions, I hear you when you say, we just got to focus on what we can control. But there's a lot of economic condition, all-time high in the stock market, all-time high on, company valuations, obviously, and not particularly real, just across the board. You've got now year-to-date low on the rates, but you had a high inflation reading today after a decent one earlier in the week, and you got fears that tariffs could move that forward. A bad job market the last 2 weeks. There's a lot of like good and then some bad that kind of washes it away. How concerned should agents be about the greater economy? I know we got to stay focused, but how do you factor that into business planning over the next 12 months?
Like the greater economy, I mean, you think about the macro environment a bit, right? And maybe the macro environment tells you I should tighten my belt a little bit on some of my spend, right? Maybe, I'll underinvest on certain things and kind of wait and see. Or you could take the approach and being on offense, which we are, and trying to innovate to set ourselves up for success in the future. Now, we are being very purposeful in our strategy and our innovation. We are instilling an operational discipline here where we have to see a return on every dollar that we spend. It weighs on me. I understand that the dollars that we have in our piggy bank here at Remax are member dollars, right? Tom pays us dollars, and he hopes that we can allocate that capital correctly in order to help him and our brand do great things. And so we're trying to be very purposeful. And from an agent perspective, I would do the same thing. And what I would say to agents is, I think Tom brought this up. You guys definitely talk about it. Is don't shortchange nurturing your customers and those relationships. Right? Pick up the phone. Don't get lazy around, oh my gosh, there's macro pressures and I can't succeed in this market, right? There are still 4 million transactions happening. And, at Remax, I want a greater share than not. And I want to try to motivate and provide tools, services, whatever those may be, to help our brokers and our agents win that business.
Yeah, beautiful. I like the fact that you're being aggressive with the spend. I think, to your point, when Lisa brought up what we were talking, the three of us were saying that back in 23, hey, a little bit of survive till 25. And at that point in 23, we're like, what, on our personal P&Ls, what do we need to cut out so that we can continue to make the really important event? Where did we add a little bit of fat to our organizations? Mm-hmm. And, a couple of years later, I am thinking about it, a lot more differently and looking at my expenses differently and willing to take greater risk than I was in 2023. And I think it's only encouraging to hear that, hey, the CEO of Remax is like, no, we're going to be aggressive right now in the way we spend. We're just going to attach it to seeing a return. So,
Byron, I think that's a great observation, because I think when it's a lot like kind of losing the sales skills. When things are very easy and you're making a lot of money and you're not quite counting it in your checkbook, maybe, right? I mean, it's like, hey, I can afford another this or another that. But I think when times get tight is when you can do your best work, right? And that's saying, hey, how can I do more with the same or more with less? So I'm a big effectiveness guy, right? I'd like to do more with the same. But there are areas, where you're saying, look, maybe I just don't need that. As the world changes, and COVID brought this on, right? Because, what that proved is everybody, regardless of their age, could order groceries through an Instacart-like app with their mobile device, right? And so that in itself opens up the ability to have great processes and then use technology to automate some of that in order to create better effectiveness with the same team you may have, or some efficiencies by reducing the team.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And now with AI, there's a whole another shift. I was having a conversation this morning with agents. I said, my conversations on chat or on Grok are already better than any of my text conversations with humans outside of these two, Tom and Lisa. Our text messages are insane and psychotic, and we don't want those ever released. But generally speaking, my messaging with AI exceeds that of what I would get from a human. And when you look at like contracts, all of our fillable contracts in real estate, it's only weeks, months, or maybe a year before AI can do a better job of walking a customer through a contract. So not knowing the contract inside and out has always been unethical, but it's really very far behind today. And not having ease of use to be able to explain and show the explanation before the fill in the blank signature happens, it's not treating the customer like it's 2025, and it's not providing great service. Where do you think these are just table stakes, small little things on AI? What are you doing to stay relevant in that world? Because that's changing faster than anything.
It is. And I think the pace of play is only going to increase. And so first off, let me say, like, I still think that we are a people-focused business, but we have to tech enable. And so AI is a bit of a buzzword. I prefer to use technology. We've got multiple AI technology in market today. Max AI on our website is one item that's helping to engage with buyers and sellers and get those to the right agent through our lead concierge program. And our marketing as a service platform, we're using AI to improve the effectiveness of the marketing campaign at the same or a lower price than you could get, in the market. And so we've got multiple things, but I think, Byron, the important thing here is we're not just launching AI to launch AI and talk about that we've got AI. We're really trying to be purposeful and where and how we use AI and technology, by the way, in order to help improve the customer experience, buyers and sellers, agents, and brokerages. And I think that, because there are a lot of brokerages in the U.S. and worldwide, and there are a lot of agents in the U.S. and worldwide, and the independent nature of them, it's really hard for sometimes an independent agent or a brokerage to invest in technology and because they don't have scale. And also, it comes back to kind of there's lots of tech in real estate. And so part of our mission here is through our innovation groups, we can kind of get the best thoughts, and we can use our group purchasing and scale in order to make investments with technology or AI companies in order to get really good outcomes. And I think that's an important thing that I said there. We're not focused on output, we're focused on outcomes. And when you think about outcomes, that drives you to say, hey, you want a great customer experience, you want a customer for life. So what do I do with that contract? How do I explain it? Am I just getting the signature? Am I talking through questions? Am I picking up the phone to talk, or am I just texting? All those things that you guys kind of talk about, like, what do you want that outcome to be? Do you want to get just this deal, or do you want to get the next two deals? And you want to get a few referrals from that customer. And if you keep the latter in mind, you make really smart and better decisions on technology, process, economics, all those types of things.
That's
I
really
love
smart.
this.
I like how practical everything so far, Erik, you outlined is practical.
Look, my job is really to be a football coach. It's a lot of coach speak, but it is. You got to keep it simple and make it really easy, right? And if you can do that, and by the way, that's what we have to do. That's our job to do. And so it's easy for me to talk about it once we've simplified it, right? It's harder to put the thing. Go ahead.
Who's your favorite coach?
Well, pro or college?
Both.
But I'll give you both
here.
Always the current football coach for the Bears, and it's really tough on me lately, as you can imagine.
Ben Johnson,
we have great
it's a good hire.
Yeah, and then Bobby Bowden is my all-time favorite college coach. I started following Florida State because of Bobby Bowden.
I got you. I thought you were going to go Nick Saban. Mediocre people don't like What's the quote,
High
Tom? Mediocre
achievers
people-
and high
high
achievers
achievers.
don't like mediocre people.
That's right.
I think Nick is an outstanding coach to follow and would be very much kind of like a Bobby Bowden. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
wisdom and insight you can gain from Nick.
Very practical mindset. All right, Lisa, you were going to jump in before let's see, Lisa, Erik, she
any
doesn't know
sports talk.
sports. She couldn't jump in. She doesn't know if we were talking soccer, baseball, basketball.
So just for the
I bet she
record,
goes to more
was
sporting
great.
events than you do, Byron.
That was
for
a
the record.
joke because Lisa,
Yeah.
called me a sexist or something that one time in the pod for
You
not
gotta-
including her in the sports conversation. That was an inside pod joke. Somebody in the comments will remember that.
No,
anyway,
I do
go ahead.
remember this
But,
now,
but
actually.
Lisa has access to the best Italian food, right? So is
and the
limoncello
best
up on your
sports
list? there?
teams. I'm like,
Oh.
let's talk about Boston. I've got like a great foodie scene, and look, I got the Bruins, I got the Celtics, I got the Red Sox. Can't
I
Did
love
any of
going
those
to games
teams win a
I-
championship last year? I don't think so, but I
I
know one
love
team
going to
that did.
games with Lisa, and Lisa knows her sports. I just say that just to get people riled up. Go ahead, Lisa.
I love
She's a
it.
very gracious
well,
host. She always gets us good seats too.
I do. I enjoy a good sporting event. Believe it or
I
not.
paid
But-
for the last seats. You weren't there, Tom.
She made me pay for mine at the Boston game, but I wore an Eagles
sorry, I
shirt
can
to
no
blend
longer
in.
hear you.
It was perfect.
All right. So my question is, I love that a lot of what you're talking about is everything that you're bringing into the brokerage and doing to support agents. And I think it's an interesting kind of conversation because I feel it as a broker owner, and I think these two would agree that as team leaders, that we feel like agents are always asking for more. They want more tools, they want better training, but with that, they also want higher splits, right? And I think you've kind of talked about that a lot. And so my question is, where do you think the line falls between a brokerage's responsibility and the agent's responsibility to contribute towards the agent's success?
So I got the question, but in all fairness, I lost audio for a few minutes, mostly when you were laughing. So I missed what that was all
You didn't
about.
miss anything important.
No, that's all right. That was just us. That was us being goofballs.
Yes.
So look at, I think in any great relationship, Lisa, I'm going to really oversimplify this back to the prior stuff is it's got to be a partnership. So, and I don't know if it's really, at that local level and based on, agent productivity, agent maturity, where they are in their career, there probably has to be some flexibility. There should always be transparency, and it should be kind of, what are the shared goals for the brokerage and for the agent, and how do both parties set themselves up to achieve that success, right? So if you have an agent that, we talked about high producers, I think there's also a great avenue, especially in RE/MAX and probably real estate in general, for folks that are retiring, right? And so how do you set somebody up that wants to kind of do a little bit less, right? But still be active, especially with their database to kind of continue that customer for life. So how does the brokerage and the agent set up a plan in order to achieve common goals? And I think it kind of starts with that.
Have you studied teams a lot, Erik? Have you looked at how successful teams are on much lower splits than what brokerages are doing?
I've studied teams a bit. Gary is, our number one team. I'd love for Tom to show up in our team's innovation group. I love that. He's got a sports jersey on right now.
Calls,
and he's
Erik.
rooting on.
2 calls. I'll be there. Don't worry. It's not like I'm just blowing this thing off here. And I told him I had a conflict.
The journey starts with the first step, Tom. I'm helping you.
First step was
Tom's
me
taking the heat
responding to
today.
the calendar invite. That was step one. So I put a maybe in. It was very clear.
Tom, objections are not best handled with all this defensive.
Hey, come on. But,
I'm not here to get an appointment, Byron. So there's no outcome for me here.
The appointment's already been set.
Yeah, the appointment's been set. I'm out.
Look, I'm ready to have Tom in the obviously in the teams group, and Lisa, you're welcome to join the RE/MAX brand and know what it's like to work for a company that's nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX in the world.
I love it.
I think it's interesting that the brokerages seem to be always competing on high split, and teams are just like, it's not actually relevant to somebody's success. The split is irrelevant. And I think a lot of what we talked about so far, Erik, I think team leader, that's why it's almost like I'm talking to a team leader. It's about the service, the tools, all those outcomes and the results. You don't make the most money at the end of the day by having the highest split. You make the most money at the end of the day by having the highest customer acquisition and close rate. So
You're not going to get an argument out of me on that, Byron.
yeah.
We're speaking the same language.
All right.
Well,
A
I
couple
think part of the problem with that, Byron, is that a lot of agents they look at top level revenue as their actual income. They don't look at the
Yeah.
cost of customer acquisition. And it's a fundamental problem that there's not a lot of business training. So, I mean, Erik, have you thought about giving any like general business training to agents that come on? Because Remax historically has kind of, I mean, in the 25 years I've been with the network, it's been for people that are a little more experienced that want to run on their own. You know, we don't have a lot of sales meetings and that sort of stuff at our brokerage. At our team, it's a different story. Have you ever thought about that kind of training for folks? Because a lot of these agents, they sell a lot of houses, but they aren't that profitable or they don't know how to run a business.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's a great question, and I will just say, like, we're looking at every aspect of our value proposition and where we can help agents. And so I think Aspire and the lean in on education is an aspect of that, to teach them about professionalism, productivity, all the things that happen kind of within real estate. Tom, you may be familiar, we had a momentum program a while back, right? And so, having a program like that and partnering with some of the best and brightest in the industry to help with benchmarking, profitability, customer acquisition cost, lowering your expenses on kind of, nurturing or closing gifts or all those types of things, all on our radar. If you can think about kind of every aspect of where an agent needs help, spends money, we are looking at those things, and we're focused on really the three things I talked about, right? Helping agents win listings, spend less time, and do it to be more profitable. And so, absolutely, we're thinking about how to help agents with business acumen and how to set up, for lack of a better way to think about it, a QuickBooks, how to balance your checkbook, all those types of things. Yep.
I love that. We do not do that enough in this industry. I am so passionate about what you've just said. That makes my heart happy.
So you will fit right in here at Remax.
In the happy space that we're all in, and the lane of helping agents, Erik, is it a help to agents today to keep them in the National Association of Realtors, and in a lot of states, a three-way tie-in agreement? Is that the best way to help serve your agents, is to support them being in the National Association of Realtors?
Quick add on to that question. When Remax settled, the forced affiliation was dropped. Now, a lot of places like Pennsylvania, we don't have that option if I want MLS access, but I know Remax did agree to that in the settlement. So please answer just with that caveat there.
Yeah, so I think you see our kind of initial stance on that. I think that NAR is obviously going through some changes in leadership and approach. I think my desire would be that NAR finds its new way and finds it quickly, and I think under Nakia they hopefully can do that and provide services that people want to invest in. So I mean, for me it comes back to, again, like the consumer experience. So you as an agent, Tom, do you feel trapped or not? Right? Do you feel like you're getting the services you desire from NAR? I think if NAR can provide services at a high level, and they provide a lot of good services today, they should operate with the same mindset that I do. That, hey, I want to win business, right? And I never want to trap business, right? I want to win business. And so I think if you take that approach, I think they'll be successful.
I'm not looking for anything you wouldn't want to share publicly, but generally speaking, has NAR been in a high level of communication with you on how to advance the association? Would you say a high level of communication, kind of mid or average, or low to no communication at all?
I think putting it into a high, medium, or low bucket probably isn't the right way to.
I mean,
to
you could speak with specifics. I'm trying to keep it in general, so you're not getting into hot water. I'd love specifics. Like, does Nakia call you every week, every month, every quarter? Has she never called you? Is Sherry Chris calling you? And is that communication open and fluid? Like, I'd ask very direct questions like that, but I don't want to put you in a position.
So I don't want to talk about the motivational text I get from Nakia every morning. I'm just kidding. No. On a serious note, it's an acceptable level of communication, and we're happy with our communication with NAR, and I hope they are too. So,
okay. Do you feel like they're getting the information that they need? They're not just supposedly talking to obviously one brokerage, or supposedly, I know Sherry Chris was brought in to really accelerate that conversation as a right hand to Nakia in, across brokerages. And, I think from a member perspective or an industry perspective, you got to just kind of have faith that that's going on behind the scenes, because you certainly don't see it. You certainly don't see that conversation happening here on a podcast out in the open, which is where it belongs. I mean, it's the classic mistake. Somebody had wide open conversations in 2024 election, and somebody hid behind, a lot of scripted stuff and took a big L. And I think as an industry, we take a big L if we don't have more wide open, specific conversations. And so I hope that those conversations are going on, but do you feel like the feedback is being heard and we will see the change, which 18 months in for Nakia, now is the time?
Look, it's probably a better question for Nakia and
I'd love to have her.
and Sherry and NAR. However, what I would say is, look, I see them out there doing the work, and the folks that I talk to at my level, they're in communication with. So I think it's a great question for them. But like any transition with any organization, I'm in the same boat, right? There's a lot of stuff. Sometimes it looks like a duck on water, a lot of activity and maybe a little bit on top. And I think that, we can all be more communicative at times and more transparent. And so it's a goal that you have to aspire to.
Yeah, definitely. We got to ask you about CCP and just Zillow's listing ban. You've had some brokerages very publicly support that, and you've had other brokerages very publicly go the other direction. Homes.com going the other direction. And so you guys have your statement out there that is, you've taken a hard line. You believe that removing the CCP policy would just benefit a few at the expense of many. I think the change to clear cooperation policy was a ride the fence change by NAR. It really kind of supported both sides, and I think it created more confusion than anything, the last revision. So has anything changed from November when you took your position on clear cooperation, and any updates to your position as it sits today?
No, I mean, I think we have a very similar view, and we updated it to the street again on our earnings call at the end of July. Look, it's not going to surprise you that based on the size of our brand, and I get like it's brokerage, franchise, franchisee, all that kind of good stuff, right? But I mean, we could probably benefit from the removal. But fundamentally, I just think that we have to be focused on what agents and consumers need, buyers and sellers, and I think transparency and the broadest distribution of listings in the end will win. Now, I get it that there are some, like the Taylor Swift type of listing that maybe needs certain considerations. Fine, I think there's room to do that today. But I think that we're going to stand by the consumer and what the buyer and seller needs, and I think it's broad distribution. And so we've been clear on that, and we remain steadfast in our approach there.
It's interesting you bring up Taylor Swift. There's a lot. I mean, the argument on the super famous home seller or home buyer, there's ways for them to create their privacy, because Taylor Swift, the first brokerage office location that I was ever in, the beginning of my career, Taylor Swift was actually an online lead. Okay. And she bought this big fancy house in Watch Hill over in Rhode Island, actually. The lead originally came in on a Connecticut property, and the agent who ended up working this lead never knew it was for Taylor Swift. It was all through handlers.
That's how it goes
throughout the entire process. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't really until, the very end that they even knew, who they were dealing with. So there's ways for somebody that's really famous that wants to protect their privacy, to do that. And so, that's one of the arguments that's really reserved for a small population of people, that really, when you dig into even that, doesn't have a lot of room.
And I only used Taylor Swift because I knew what a fan you were about her new,
Yeah.
T12 album drop a couple days ago.
No,
Yeah.
it
On
was
the
the big
Kelsey
announcement was
podcast,
last
yeah.
night.
Kelsey
I-
podcast.
Yeah.
Listen, we're gonna have
I'm
today.
big.
If you're a BAMX member, there's a T Swift template going up into BAMX. So grab it. It's relevant. Trend jacking. Lisa, what do you want to finish with? You had something?
No, I think
Oh,
we covered so much. Like, this
did.
was probably one of my favorite podcasts this year.
No, this was good. I
Felt
hope we were.
felt like a few minutes.
Yeah,
It
was
did, in
great.
fact, actually.
You're
Erik,
right,
I hope
Erik.
I hope we were respectful in the things that you can answer, and obviously don't want to go too deep into. But I really enjoyed having the conversation with you and the way you're thinking about Remax. I know this is going to excite Tom. Before you know it,
150 phone calls after this. It'll be great. Hopefully, I'll get some appointments.
Tom's going to have so much Remax merch on every time we come into this pod. It's going to be crazy. I can't wait for that.
So my dad will give all the agents on our team a pin to wear. I think Eric's got his on. I can see it right there.
I can see it, little
got
itty
it
bitty
right
there.
So
That's right over my head here, right?
I was going to wear one, but I'm not wearing a blazer. So
I love the look right now. Erik, what did you think of the pod? Did you enjoy it?
I really enjoyed it. It was a pleasure, Tom, to talk with you. I can't wait to see you in our Teams Innovation Group just to follow up on that. Lisa, I look forward to working with you closer. So let me know when you want to that follow-up visit. And Byron, can't wait to see you in DC. Hope you'll be there again.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. And Erik, you'll be back, right? We'd love to have the conversation down the road with you again, bring you back on.
Happy to come back and always spend a few minutes or an hour with you. So hopefully the fans
Thanks.
enjoy
all
it.
right. Rebook
All right, you
now,
heard it here.
please. That's excellent salesmanship. You have clear next steps after the appointment. Sure, Eric's smiling there. That's very good, Byron. Nice work.
Always got to have clear next steps. You've got a CRM for leads. Great. Don't want that to go away. But what about your clients? Most agents drop the ball after the deal. That's why they're called past clients. There's real money is in the referrals, the repeat business, staying top of mind for a year, making past clients actual clients. If your follow-up is just random check-in or a happy home anniversary, you're invisible. That's why my team uses Mosaic, and that's why the Mosaic team just made it available to all BAMX members at no additional monthly cost. Mosaic is a high-touch client experience platform. It picks up where your CRM leaves off, personalized property search, offer comparisons, real-time transaction timelines, automated homeowner reminders, equity updates long after the closing. This means your clients feel supported with you without duct taping 5 different systems together. And here's what makes this deal insane. Mosaic is normally $150 to $250 a month, but BAMX members, you get full access included in your $97 a month membership. If you're doing the math, that's like us paying you $150 every month just to stay ahead of your clients, just to keep your clients. Spots are limited by market for Mosaic. Some are already full. So if you're in a competitive area, go claim your seat now. Go to school.com/BAMX or hit the link. Thank you so much for checking out this week's Knowledge Brokers podcast. If you want to take what we're doing here at BAM and use it in your own business, join us over at School. We just switched BAMX into the #1 education and community platform. Go to school.com/BAMX or hit the link in the description, school.com/BAMX. I'll see you in the community.